Hello and welcome to the We Are Birmingham podcast. I'm Chris Golding.
I'm Matthew Elliott.
And the vegan's back. How are we doing, Dave? You okay?
Oh, okay. Now we're on to about take 15 of this week's, podcast.
We'll get there eventually.
Yeah, we'll try. We're trying.
Your claret hair's finally washed out.
I know. I've lost the pink.
Just about.
But while we're on the subject of facial hair, your beard is looking biblical.
I'm getting there. It's still growing.
You like the we are Birmingham Jesus. Oh no.
No.
There's a special place in
the blue and silver, blue and white ish. No, not a fan.
No. I'd have more respect for you if you put them through your nipples.
I did that with my beard for a few years in a row.
I thought you were going to say you put them on your nipples.
Had multiple ones down there. In fact, Dave, you've probably seen it. Actually, I'm sure you probably have. It was a.
Hang on, are you eating during this podcast?
That's all he does, isn't it? Just eats.
What was that? That looked like custard.
No, it's melted ice cream. That's ice cream and mince pie today. So we had a comment on YouTube from Stephen Stanley who said he was disappointed with the lack of a food slot after the ice cream in the one and then mince pies in the other. So I saw on Sunday brunch the other week that they made mince pie ice cream, vanilla ice cream with crushed mince pies. So I thought I'd give it a go.
Oh, your big beard's not great now, is it? Now you got it all down your face. Looking good.
Mm-hmm.
Where can we do?
Anyway, look, there we go, Mr. Matthew with his.
That was 6 years ago.
How many balls on your beard?
8. That was 6 years and about 3 stone ago, I think. It would have been 4 stone, but.
Well, obviously this is podcast gold for everyone that's listening.
Absolutely.
You're looking at old pictures from 6 years ago.
I've got
What are you bringing to the table, Dave? What are you bringing to the table?
You know what? I haven't even. I went as far as getting the Christmas box out of the loft earlier, and looked at it.
Christmas Eve box.
The what?
There's decorations box. I can't believe you are actually standing there and just munching away. This is
pretty disrespectful to the entire WAB audience.
It'll be gone in no time. It's fine.
This is
just mute him.
I'll mute myself.
So what's the crack? What's been going on with people?
No, for me, I've not been great. I was ill last week. Couldn't go into work. My tonsils. It was
tonsils.
Yes.
Are you 5?
No. You farting?
No, are you 5? It's like a.
Am I 5? Sorry, I thought you said are you farting.
Well, probably that as well with all the ice cream.
No, I wasn't very well last week. I assume it was flu because my missus had it, but it wasn't as strong. And
it's not man flu, is it? When women get it, so
no,
it's not going to be as bad.
No,
people don't seem to understand.
Still got a bit of a cough, so I apologise throughout this episode for the random coughing. Then my daughter had it as well, so Friday night was spent from, we went to Heartlands, took her to the emergency room, the kids' emergency room at Heartlands at 7 o'clock, I think. They gave us some antibiotics, sent us home. We then went back again because her temperature dropped to like 34 degrees, which 35 they reckon below is worry about it. Got up there about midnight and we left there at I think about 9:30, 10 o'clock on Saturday morning.
Wow.
Yeah, that was. We hadn't seen a doctor all night. They had one doctor on for the emergency room. Told us that it would be about an hour and 40 minutes wait time when we first got in there, and yeah, we left there like around 10 o'clock-ish. Or got home around 10, half 10, I think. Saturday morning with no sleep, so didn't get to go to the Bristol Rovers game. It was I woke up I think about 2:30, watched it on the sofa.
How?
Yeah, about in Spain.
Okay.
Fair play.
That's like I said I was in Spain, didn't I? Heartland in Spain. Yeah. But yeah, not great for me, and gutted not to make it to the game. But my daughter comes first, so it was her health the night before. It's not great. I wouldn't take her back to Heartlands. I think I'll probably just drive to Warwick or something next time before we, if we ever need them again. I mean, the staff that we did see were great, but it just
another example of the underfunded NHS, isn't it?
Yep. Which my missus works for as well, so all very aware. How about you guys anyway? What have you been up to?
Dave, I'll let you go first.
Because you weren't with us on the last one either, Dave.
No, I think, what was I doing? I had a prior engagement with something. What was I doing? Podcast Gold. I was probably taking pictures of something.
We were probably taking photos. Just naturally assumed that you were taking photos. I think I'd gone
to Charlie XCX with Dan. Might have been that. Yeah. Which was good. Saw Sam Fender the other night. Better than expected. Newcastle shirts everywhere. That man seriously has done it makes you realise that we could really do with a sort of like flagship musician to be flogging Birmingham shirts, given the impact that Sam Fender's had on Newcastle shirts. I don't see anyone kind of repping Birmingham shirts the way that he's doing for
Geordie's a little bit weird though, and
well, there's no one else to support. There's nothing else to do, is there?
Football team and one music artist
and Newcastle Brown Ale.
Yeah. There you go. What about you and here, Chewy?
I can't remember what I've been doing really. So I was in England for a week last week. Work related stuff, Christmas parties, training, learning how to write.
How was your Christmas party? Because these are things of legend previously.
Our Christmas parties generally are quite leery because it was a free bar. I think we had a few £1,000 behind the bar, which was good. I was not planning on drinking very much. The last couple or last few sort of nights I've been quite reserved, because I'm not good the next day. So if I just got carried away and naturally just
really
got battered and. Yeah, then I had training the next day and my appraisal, which was brilliant. But thankfully, I was out with my manager the night before as well. So
you were both there,
who seemed to be much better than me. But yeah, it kind of sucked because I got a bit of an update on my role and how it's changing going forward, which will mean less free visits to England, so I'll spend more time
not free visits, less paid for visits.
Paid for by
expenses.
So I can't tying in work trips with personal stuff is going to be a little bit more difficult going forward. I can still do it, and I'll still have time to do it, but it's going to be less frequent, which is a little bit disappointing on a personal level, but. It gives me more focus over here, and obviously it's good for my other half and the kids because it means I'm not away as much. So, yeah, that's it really. I'm still catching up on sleep from that week because it's always a pretty tough one.
And you didn't get to stay for the game either, did you?
No, I left on the Friday night and got home. I went on the ferry on the Friday night and got home on the Saturday morning, and then I was running around doing, like, I was in the thick of it almost straight away, like literally sorting out breakfast and cleaning the kitchen, cleaning the house, and yeah, it was wild. Then my other half was out on her Christmas party this Saturday night, so she came in and woke me up at like 2 a.m.
Well, we discussed doing a live podcast on that night, and then they announced the sleep out. You had your incident in the car, and with everything that's gone on and everything that's just gone on at that weekend, it's like just wasn't meant to be, was it? We'll get it done at some point, eh? At some point. Right. Shall we have a look back?
Yeah, how would you want to do it? Do you want to? Because I think it was 3 games, wasn't there? The Barnsley, Exeter, and obviously Bristol Rovers.
Yeah.
I guess
start with Barnsley.
Yeah, I don't think we need to spend too much time on them really, but thoughts on Barnsley, because I was concerned. I didn't think it was going to go ahead based on like the weather. Certainly here in Northern Ireland that day, and I know it was quite bad in England as well. So I was quite surprised.
No, I don't want to be overheard, but it was some of the most dreadful roads that I've seen for probably forever.
Oh, really?
It was like shocking. Yeah. We went for breakfast with Father Christmas at IKEA on the morning, and the plan was that we were going to get there. My missus was going to go off to Shrewsbury, and Mum was going to come and pick her up, take her to Shrewsbury. I was going to carry on to Barnsley. When we were seeing Father Christmas, got a phone call. Your dad doesn't want me to drive, so can you get here? It's like, okay, I'll drop you. So I had to go down the M54, I think it is, that one, off the M6. Drop her off.
Telford way,
yeah. 2 cars that one crashed into a barrier, one had come off a side road and had come down the embankment, and then as I've dropped her off and then come back the other way, there's a tree that had fell down onto one of the carriageways that we'd just gone on the opposite way. So yeah, it wasn't great. It was dicey at times, but we made it, and it was. I mean, some of the match conditions were bonkers as well.
I was just saying, it kind of reflected the overall quality of the game. Kind of reflected the weather and vice versa, didn't it?
Yeah.
I'll be honest. Watching that game, from what I remember of it now, obviously it was a couple of weeks ago. It felt like I didn't feel like at any point we were going to get anything from that game. I thought maybe we might get a draw, and then when they scored, I was just like, fuck this. I kind of given up, because we seem to have very little cohesion in our play, and I think actually some of it was maybe by design. We were trying to mix it up a little bit, and we knew we couldn't play the football we wanted to in those conditions, and that's fine. And then when they scored, I was just like, I might not even bother watching the rest of this. But I was literally about to message, I think, in the group to say that, and then Jay Stansfield had scored.
Which we said on the last podcast,
yes.
Hasn't scored from open play in how long, which you then flagged up. It was the
He
Northampton game that we'd forgotten about.
Yes, yeah, I completely forgot about the Northampton game. I was reminded by a couple of people by message that crap. But yeah, I think there was a couple of things on that we may have willed into happening, isn't it? So.
Well, there was the Stansfield open play one, and then the direct from a corner goal as well.
Yeah,
which was nice, overdue a little bit. There was is it Arizona Blue Nose on Twitter who said that he'd promised to get his son 2 Pake shirts if we scored from a direct from a corner.
Is that right? Is it?
Yeah.
I know he just listened, but that was a really good corner as well. Actually, the corners over the last couple of games have been a lot better. So
yeah,
we'll get into that shortly. But nice double by Stansfield.
I tell you what, there were some corners that weren't great in that game, and it probably was the weather. But when all 4 corner flags are going in different directions and nearly touching the ground, it's not the best conditions to be taking corners.
The best thing about that game for me was obviously we've gone behind, and then we've obviously gone on to win the game. Once we scored that goal, we took control of the game. I thought actually their centre midfielders were actually quite good. I think it was Russell and was it Phillips that got sent off, because I thought he was quite useful until it's a daft sending off. Should never got booked in the first place. In the first one, just really silly, and then the second one was even more stupid. Like,
was it him that had done Cochrane as well though?
I don't think so, maybe, but
I mean, I haven't seen it back, so I can't see who it was.
Unfortunate. I think that was just unfortunate. It was a freak incident. That was really probably worth speaking about Cochrane as well. But
was it not a foul then? Because I haven't seen it back.
They kind of just kicked boots, but it was almost like. It wasn't like full contact. It was just really, really freaky how it obviously pierced his boot and then taken skin off his foot and stuff like that. You couldn't tell that watching TV. I thought Tommy Mooney kept talking about seeing blood. I think it was Tommy Mooney. And I was just like, how was he seeing this? What was going on? I thought, this is the worst. It's going to be like
ankle or something.
Ligaments in his ankle or something. Just naturally. You always just fear the worst when they get stretched off and things. I had no idea there was blood there. It was only afterwards when they started talking about it, because I thought, what is Tommy Mooney talking about? Because he does talk a lot of nonsense, so you just kind of take what he says with a pinch of salt. But yeah, I thought their midfield was quite good, and then we kind of after we got the first goal back, we started to take a little bit more control. Phillips had his daft moment, and then we really just took over, and we did start to show a little bit more quality going forward. And just look after the ball a little bit better.
I'm going to say that there have been games this season where, and not many of them, but there's been a couple where it's just been like, I think I've said it to you, I don't feel like we're in this. Like, we're not controlling the game. I don't feel it doesn't feel like that Wigan game where it's going to come for us. But it didn't feel like that at Barnsley. It's certainly not. After we got the equaliser, then it just felt that we were in that ascendancy.
Once we'd scored, I mean, if it'd gone on more than 5 or 10 minutes after, like 10 minutes after they'd scored, I probably would have felt very differently. But once we'd scored, it felt like a completely different game.
Yeah.
The best thing was we just completely mixed it up. We went long quite a lot. We weren't overly concerned about having loads and loads of possession. It was just moving the ball forward a little bit quicker than we normally would do, but with purpose in a completely different manner.
It's something that we've spoken about on the podcast. I've raised it a couple of times and said, mix it up. Like, win second balls. If you go direct and you don't win the first ball, win the second ball. Give them something to think about, and we've done it in recent games.
It's good to see that we've gone out to do that, and I think a change in mindset maybe from Davies and the coaching staff to say, look, there are going to be some games here where we can't just do plan A. We're going to have to have a plan B, and almost. Not saying Barnsley were a bad team, because actually I thought they looked fairly useful at what they did, but take yourself down to their level and try and go toe to toe with them that way, rather than just trying to knock the ball around. So ever since that Shrewsbury game, there seems to be a complete change in mindset, or the way that we want to set up against certain teams. We saw it against Stockport, where would relieve the pressure and go long and go direct to Dykes and stuff like that as well. So for me, it felt like coming out of 3 points from that felt huge, not just because we got 3 points and it was a win away from home against someone that's in the top 6 again, but actually because it was like a champions moment almost. We just dug in, did the dirty side of the job, and ground out a 2-1 win with some moments of quality.
I think 3 or 4 people said on the way out of there, that's the type of game, that's the type of win that wins you leagues.
Yeah,
and it's getting that win that really does put you in that pole position.
I think Chris Davies said that the players will remember this one, and I think the fans probably will as well, because it's when you watched the Bristol Rovers game, the Stockport game, and the Bolton game. There are all these games where we've won 2-0, we've controlled games, been dominant, but without really creating loads of chances. All kind of mould into one game, and they're not as easy to remember. Do you know what I mean? Where this one is like, it has like it's a very different dynamic to what we've been used to. And the players will know that as well, as Chris Davies said, that they'll remember this one well. It's like quite a pivotal moment.
And the thing was, even though it did have that in there was still an element of control. I think it wasn't just that they'd completely abandoned it and sacrificed that. There was still an element of control. We still we were still dominant on possession over the 90 minutes. It wasn't like it was. I mean, it was closer than some games have been. It wasn't like 75%, 70%, 58.
Oh, was it?
58 we've got, or 58.9. I've got it here.
A lot less passes, and the passes were probably less accurate as well, weren't they? Well, they definitely were. I remember the first half pretty well.
Yeah. But again, you adapt to the conditions. You adapt to team. I think what it was a sign of, and what we've seen recently is a sign of us maturing as a team, and not just going, we're going to play this. We're going to play this way. We're going to stick to this. This is only what we're going to do. There's this variety in play.
Yeah.
And I think that's part of maturing, that you can go, yeah, okay, we can do this. We can battle. If you want to battle, we'll battle with you. And we've seen elements of that in recent weeks as well. So,
I think it's key going forward, and whether or not it's something that Davies had always planned to do, or whether they've thought a bit hard about it after the couple of defeats that we've had, and then they've thought, well, let's maybe see what we can do for have a plan B. And it's great to see anyway, and it gives me a lot more confidence going into games now going forward, when we've got those tougher games where we struggle to break teams down or people are getting physical with us. I think it's going to be one of those where, like, you go back and do that Mansfield game again, I think we would win it next time around. So
I think we'd get a completely different performance against Shrewsbury now as well.
What was the Virtu Cup? Virtu midweek was Exeter.
Well, I'll tell you what, a nice little segue to that is that we were missing Keshi Anderson from the Barnsley game.
Yes, because I was concerned about that one.
Yeah. And to be fair, it probably didn't help, but I'm not sure how much of a loss he would have been. I think the conditions just meant that game was going to be the way it was anyway. But yeah, he came back, nearly made an instant impact on the Tuesday night.
Yeah, the open, what was technically sort of an open goal, but I don't think he was watching it back. I don't think he was expecting it to come to him as quickly as it did. He just couldn't get his feet set, could he?
The only thing that I would
have... when you see those, you just expect someone to score from them, but then you look, because he sort of almost stumbled into it, didn't he?
I think he panicked as well, so I think he tried to rush it once the first opportunity is gone. I think he's then tried to rush the next opportunity and just get a shot away, and I think he had more time than he realised.
Yeah, he probably did, which is weird, because he's normally one of the sort of calmer,
sometimes too calm.
You could say that. But he obviously scored a fantastic goal later in the game that sealed it for us, and absolutely fantastic finish, and a really nice move actually. There's obviously a great cross by Ayuma, but there was a number of passes before that where we kept the ball again in pretty sloppy conditions, lots of rain, wet pitch, and that was a really dominant performance. Again, it's quite annoying that we'd obviously conceded a daft goal that I think in the Premier League that gets given us a foul on the goalkeeper, but VAR probably gives that as well. But yes,
maybe
Peacock foul needs to be stronger, but I mean I technically think it was a foul. Chris Davies was not happy about it at all either. He sort of mentioned that it was that it should have been a foul, and say goalkeeper, with the way goalkeepers get protected. It was quite surprising.
Yeah, if you're setting a standard for how things are, then yes. For me, it's not good enough. Not strong enough.
He's got to be stronger. Yeah. He has got to be stronger. But for me, it's still technically a foul, given the amount of protection they get, and you only have to fart near a goalkeeper in the Premier League, and it's given as a foul. But yeah, really dominant performance again.
And Harris opened the scoring
after we moaned about him as well, so that's always good.
And that was that an Anderson assist?
Yes,
that one, was it Anderson that played into? I thought he took his goal fantastically, but I'm going to say I
wasn't particularly impressed with it.
No,
same here. Yeah,
I'm struggling still to see an awful lot from him. I'm not going to completely throw him under the bus. I just don't. He didn't keep his place from that game. So I'm going to say probably not the only ones to think that, and there were a few people. I'm not going to slate anyone. He scored the goal, didn't he? So
yeah,
he scored the opener. I would have liked to have seen us kicked on a little bit from there.
Just on the on that, before we move on to the extra one, were you surprised at how many changes he'd made again? Because
no, because I think that Davis is learning now that he has to, especially in this period that we've got, that he needs to rotate. And when there's a game on a Saturday, game on a Tuesday, game on a Saturday, game on a Wednesday, game on a Monday, I think he's fully aware now that players are going to run out of, are just going to get burnt out. And I think he's realised that it's bit him in the ass a couple of times. So that squad that we've got, he needs to utilise, and I think he's aware of that. One thing that I was surprised by was that we didn't have Brandon Kale on the bench. I thought that he might have had an involvement.
It was a strange one. I think there's been talk of him potentially going on loan not next week, the week after. So to somewhere. So we'll see.
Swindon, I was told. I don't know if that's. I think
I don't know. I think it's for a League 2 team, isn't it? I think there's talk of Bradford as well.
Hang on, yeah, mate, that could be right. I can't remember.
He's probably got a shot. I mean, in reality, he could probably go and play for a team at the bottom of League 1.
It was Bradford.
Oh, there we go.
Yeah,
but yeah, good thing.
And do you know what? It's probably the time for him as well to do that. He's had a bit of time this season. Earlier on, played a few games in a couple of cup games. Probably not as much as he was hoping for. Not as much as we were hoping for.
I think they've kept him around close to the squad. It helps his development, and now they're ready to send him out because they obviously see him as part of the future as well. And I think he will be part of the squad going forward. But he needs to play regularly to help him develop. What
I was told as well was that his stock has actually risen from staying with us this season. So it's higher than it would have been at the start of the season.
Yeah. No, that makes sense. And it's obviously quite tough to get into the team, isn't it? If Mark Leonard can't get into the team, Brandon Keeler's on a got a bit of a rough ride there.
Yep.
One of the bonuses from the Exeter game was the return of Lee Buchanan, who obviously completely out of the picture, and then he got a number of different injuries and then re-injured, and then he's back to some form of fitness just in time with Cochrane injured. Thought he did really, really well on against Exeter, and then
you could tell when he started tiring, couldn't you? But it's going to happen.
Same on Saturday against Bristol Rovers. But I thought he was really, really good as well, and great strike. How many times did he do that last season and put it like over the bar or wide
Well, let's move on to Bristol Rovers then. It was like 6 minutes in, was it?
I was fuming because I just dropped my eldest off at a birthday party in Crawley, and I got back and I saw it flash up. I was literally 2 minutes from the door. Obviously, they show replays and stuff like that. So,
but yeah, absolutely rifled it. And like you say, he's tried that before. His interview after the match, I noticed that he was saying that he's tried it a few times and he's skied them. He tried one in training on Friday, I think he said. Someone took it. He took a touch, and one of the physios, I think, said to him, "You're going to ping one today." Didn't take a touch. Bang. So it was quite nice for him. Nice welcome back. His first goal for Blues.
Yes, and do you know what's? It's interesting because he seemed to fit in pretty well. Got forward pretty well, linked play pretty well. Got back. Obviously, we know he's got a good engine. But it was Tony Mowbray, wasn't it, that said he wasn't attacking enough or he wasn't forward thinking. It didn't go forward enough with the ball.
It was just he made a comment about some of his play, didn't he? Yeah. I don't think he was saying that he's not that as a player, because we'd seen that when we signed him that he's done it for other teams before.
It was Mowbray. I couldn't remember if I just made that up or not. So
no. He just said that he needs to. He said something like he needs to get his head up and see when the opportunities allow him to get forward. But bear in mind that that's on the back of Eustace using him very sparingly and essentially using him as another centre back to sit in.
He did very well under Eustace as well. To be fair, but I think,
but then he had the Rooney thing, the Rooney tenure, and then Mowbray. So you can't blame him.
I think it was Chris Davies said. I think I read it in the Birmingham Mail that they've been, even though he'd been out injured, he's basically been in all their classroom training and video work so he's been in to understand exactly what his role would be when he comes into the team. So he isn't just coming in like completely oblivious to it, which I don't, which is quite a good. Because I'm not sure that all clubs do that sort of thing. So it's useful to have them sitting in on those sorts of training sessions, classroom training sessions.
That's really interesting that you've brought that up, because I watched some of the John Ruddy, Ben Foster Fozcast interview. I don't know if you've seen it, but he was talking
some
about
time
Rooney.
Ago now, but yeah, I have.
Yeah, but I only watched it the other day. And he made that reference of like the time with players, spending time with people so that they know and understand where they should be, what they should be doing, and that never happened under Rooney. So it's interesting to hear that Blues are doing it with Davis, and it's very much structured and what's the word? When it's documented rather than actually being out on the grass, and I can't think of the word. Academic.
Yeah, I think it's important.
Maybe.
We've said before that like a lot of clubs do the classroom training thing is quite important because you need to understand like who you're playing against and how you need to react and respond to that. And it's obviously a big thing in American sports as well. They have hours and hours of classroom training, like the NFL it's like 10 hours a week on, as well as doing like walkthroughs and normal training and things. But obviously something that they've adopted more and more in English football, but it's involving those players that are injured. When they're normally
so that when you need them,
isolated from the rest of the squad and don't get involved with that side of stuff. So it's important that we've been doing that, and then so Buchanan slotted in pretty seamlessly. And let's be honest, Cochrane has probably been our most consistent player of the season. Maybe not like outstanding, but certainly like a 7.5, 8 out of 10 every week.
Yeah,
not
consistent.
Birmingham Mail ratings, by the way, my ratings, but very consistent. And Buchanan looks like he can fill in admirably while Cochrane's out as well.
Well, it's going to be interesting because I'm not sure that I can see him getting his place straight back when he's fit either, because I could see the potential of Buchanan sort of saying, "This is my chance. I'm back. I'm going to take it," and then it's going to get really interesting.
It's up to him, isn't it? To keep his place, and then it's up to Cochrane to win his place back. And apparently Chris Davies puts a lot into how they train and stuff like that as well, which is great. So when he's back in a few weeks' time, it's good to have that depth and
let's be honest, with Buchanan back as well, he can always play as a left centre back if required. So there's that depth there for the back line as well, extra depth.
With the Vertu and our FA Cup run, we're probably gonna need him anyway to freshen things up. So, but on to the actual game itself. That was possibly the first 45 was possibly the most dominant we've looked, whilst creating fairly decent chances. For me, I actually thought this could be the game where we
pull away.
Yeah, we do. Well, we score quite a few, but we'll get on to the second half in a minute. But very impressive, I thought.
It was as close as we've seen, I think, to just pure dominance. Now, we've used the word dominance a few times this season, where that's just us controlling the game, and we'll get an opportunity, we score it, but we haven't absolutely killed the game off. But it was just like they had no answers for it. And part of me was thinking at the time, fuck, these are really bad. But then we were really good. You've still got to play your game regardless of what's in front of you.
I mean, Bristol Rovers came and actually looked like they wanted to play out from the back. They looked like they wanted to. I mean, and
they looked like they wanted to, but then didn't want to at the same time.
Yeah, I think it got. I think because we obviously tried to sort of press them and break them down, and they would force them into errors, and it made them look worse. But obviously he got sacked after that as well, didn't he? So they're looking for a new manager now, and this apparently talk a ranker apparently, which would be quite funny.
Good luck to him with that. Get the ham ready.
Yeah, good goal by Buchanan. Obviously penalty. Downfield's put that away. Probably should have had a couple more. And then we come out in the second half,
and everyone loses their shit because
and I'm getting to the point now where this is just game management, isn't it? It's got to be by design where we're going to take the foot off the gas a little bit. We still want to create chances and still enforce our will on the opposition, but actually reduce the intensity, reduce the risk of injury, just control the game, tire them out, and just keep the ball. I get it, and like I touched on earlier, we've seen about 5 or 6 of these games this season already, and I don't mind to a point. Like, winning is always nice, but sometimes you just want a little bit more, don't you? And I think that's just from a spectator aspect. You want a bit more excitement. You want to win 3 or 4, because we could do that to a few teams, but obviously there seems to be this drive for us just to control games and just tire the shit out of the opposition.
But do you know what? I'm completely fine with it. Like, I want to see us blow teams out the water. Don't get me wrong, but it's like minimal effort, get the job done, pure professionalism.
That's what it is. It's just pure professionalism in the second half, and it is fine, and I'm okay with it because we're winning.
But lots of people aren't. Lots of people are.
But I can understand why they aren't, because they want to be entertained. When you look at a team like Bristol Rovers, when we've gone 2-0 up, or 1-0 up fairly quickly, and we've been having our foot on the gas, excuse the pun, and then score the.
You've just used the same pun that the commentator used on Blues TV as well.
He's actually a Bristol Rovers fan, isn't he? That guy that was the commentator. Yeah, is it Ollie? What's his face? I can't remember. But he is. I think pretty sure he's a Bristol Rovers fan.
He stole your "pound the rock" comment from Chris Davis that he now uses about 3 times a game.
He said "pound the stone" though, didn't he? He said "pound the stone" first, and then he said "pound the rock."
Did he?
Yeah, "pound the stone." Yeah, I can understand people being a little bit like frustrated by it, because there is the opportunity to beat these teams 4 or 5 potentially, and then we're coming out. They've had all this 45 minutes of excitement, and then the second half is just, flaccid, if you will.
But say if we'd have gone
flaccid, but with control.
I'm going to use a football cliche now. I think it is anyway. If we'd have gone out at hammer and tongue for that second half, and we'd have gone out and let's say we'd put 4 past them.
Yeah. Got injuries.
Yeah. So Stansfield does his hamstring and he's out for 6 weeks. Is it worth it? It's not for me.
No, it's not.
I completely understand.
He could do his hamstring doing anything, though, couldn't he?
He could. I get that. But if you 2-0 up, wind it in.
No, I do. I do get it, and I agree with you. And I think that's what it is. Especially with the amount of games coming up over Christmas, you probably just want to take the foot off the gas and just control the game and just just reduce the intensity.
The only thing that I would say is that then it's that age-old thing in football. 2-0 is the most dangerous scoreline in football. And it is for a reason. Now, we had this conversation the other week at the game.
The co-commentator say that as well? It was a female co-commentator, wasn't it?
It was, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if she did. But it is because at 2-0, if the other team... So someone that I was chatting to the other day said, it's a load of bollocks. And it's like, it's not. 2-0, you get comfortable. Right, we've got the game won here. Yeah. You get that mindset. The other team nicks a goal. Instantly, they've got their tails up. They're like, we're after this. We can get something here. We're back in the game. You've then got to completely restart your style, your game, to try and actually get some momentum and get back into it, get started again. So it is the most dangerous scoreline in football for exactly that reason. So yeah, maybe go and get a third first before we take the foot off the gas a little bit. But I understand why, and I get it. I'm not like a lot of people gave a lot of shit about it.
I think if you look at like what Wickham have been, like Wickham scored 4 at the weekend, and I understand because they're looking at the teams and Stockport done it a few times this season where they put 5 past people. Yes, we've beat both of those teams, brilliant.
But I bet you those teams will be playing a different setup against them as well to how they set up against us. I bet Shrewsbury won't have set up the same against Wickham as they will have done against us. I bet they've gone for it a bit more.
I don't know, because obviously Wickham are going around everywhere and just putting people to... I mean, the 17 games unbeaten, aren't they? So there's going to be one team that wants to be that team that does turn them over at some point. But
yeah, but
they're as much of a threat as we are at the moment.
My point is, though, that they're probably not as feared as our squad is. So teams will have a bit more of a go against them, and that leaves opportunities.
I mean,
that Shrewsbury game that we played, when we played Shrewsbury the other week, they set up to block everything and just try and hit us on the counter. And I bet they didn't try and play that same way against
that new
Wickham.
manager bounce lasted long, didn't it?
Yeah.
But no, I mean, ultimately, going out and winning these games, 2-0. Not exciting element of control is fine as long as we keep winning. But I can understand the people that are getting a little bit frustrated when we don't go and just maybe do that in the first half, 3 or 4-0 in the first half, and then was it Spurs against Southampton?
I mean, it could have been. It absolutely could have been. Yeah, it was Spurs.
They went 5-0. Like they won 5-0, but all 5 goals were scored in the first half. So. Yeah. That's obviously Chris Davies worked under Ange Postecoglou last year as well. So
essentially, just score a few more goals in the first half. But they could have done. It wasn't that they weren't trying to in the first half. It just didn't happen.
So after the Bristol Rovers game, there's obviously the sleep out, which. How much did they raise in that? Did you take a note of that?
23 grand, 24 grand. They're at the moment.
And were Knighthead going to match that as well, were they, or something? Was that... I think
I've
read somewhere that Knighthead were going to match that. I might be wrong. If not, then, But I'm sure I did hear that, because that's what my company do. If we do any... the company I work for, they will match... If you raise anything for charity or do, like... marathon and stuff like that, if they'll match whatever you make. Yes. Oh yeah. I'll be doing Belfast Marathon next year. So for autism NI. But so if I raise any money for that, then my company have said they'll put in the same amount. But anyway, Knighthead, I'm sure. So
and Knighthead. United said that they'll match you as well.
Oh, well, yeah. I mean, I'm sure we'll ask Tom Wagner if he can do that for us as well. I'm sure. I
think the sleep out was a great thing for everyone to get involved in. I think it's
more people this year as well.
Yeah, and it's a great initiative for great purpose. As I said earlier, we were looking at doing the live podcast on that date, which didn't happen. So luckily I wasn't on it, because I wouldn't have fancied another night of no sleep after the Friday night.
I was about to say that,
yeah,
that would have been rough,
killer. But yeah, fair play to everyone who did it and who raised lots of money. Dan Ivory did a post about it. I don't know if you've read it yet. But he mentioned in there about a woman that he was speaking to a member of staff that works for the foundation, and they said that the reason that they do it is for these families that are in need around Christmas time, so that all kids can get a present. There was a woman who had gone through a lot. Let's just say she was in a lot of shit. Read his article, because it's very touching, and it meant that what the foundation did meant that she could go in. She could choose a present for her kids for Christmas. She could choose it and give them a present at Christmas, which, when people are in a situation where they've got so much on their plate that they struggle to even put food on the plate, to have that one bit of pressure eased is fantastic. So well done to everyone that was involved in it. Keep donating if you can. Like I say, go and read Dan Ivory's post on almagier.net. It was very touching, and well done.
Yeah, well done everyone involved. So, quick update on the old loans. I won't dig too deep into all the players, but George Hall pulled up.
Hang on, hold on. Derby joke.
Oh, it's Loan Watch.
Gonna be honest, thought you'd already done that and I just didn't hear it, so there we go. Pulled up with a hamstring injury just before the weekend. That is probably the most concerning injury for him, because of the amount of times he's had hamstring injuries in the past and how long it's kept him out for previously. It looked like
the phrase hamstrung is literally him. It's shit.
It's unfortunate because he just started to get a string. He had a back problem a couple of weeks back, which could be linked to the hamstring. Because
was it David Dunn that had that?
Yeah. My mum has something similar actually.
Does your mum also try to do Rabonas and fall over herself? Or is
that
just a David Dunn?
She was some player back in her time. So no, absolutely not. She can barely walk these days. She struggles, unless it involves looking after her cats, and then she seems to have this super power. Anyway, unfortunate for George Hall. I don't want to make assumptions really, but the way Matt Sadler spoke about it, or how he was quoted, made it feel like it might be a longer recovery time, which isn't surprising based on his previous. Longello at Cambridge is also injured, so he's not featured recently.
Just on the George Hall one, it's for Blues fans, it's seeing this kid come through and being so optimistic about him, and we've seen these constant setbacks. So obviously the person that's going to feel it the most is the player, but for the supporters, you're like, oh, this kid's got something. Injury, and then he's out at Walsall, scored the other week, and it's like maybe he's just going to get himself right now. And it feels really unfair with certain players that
it's unfortunate because obviously a lot of fans are excited about him. Obviously there's all the talk of him potentially going to a bigger club at some point, but obviously he had his injuries. Then he signed the deal with us and obviously had a handful of games and then was out for such a long period, and he needed this loan really to prove that he could stay fit and get himself back to that level again. And it's unfortunate. It looks like it's ended quite unfortunately, but Longello's the other one. He's injured at the moment as well. I mean, I don't think there's any chance of him coming back anyway. I think a lot of these loanees probably aren't coming back. One of the ones I thought would come back, a better player and an improved player, was obviously Josh Home, and he's still not really played at all. I had a chat with Ryan Deeney about that. He messaged me after listening to the last podcast, and he says, I think that Josh is probably more victim of circumstance than anything. I mean, Josh is a good footballer, but Gateshead do play quite an expansive brand of football for non-league, which is why I thought it would be a good move for him. That, along with the fact he comes from around those areas, but there are some very experienced older heads there that have played for Gateshead for a while. That it's, he's probably not doing much wrong. Ryan said it's just unfortunate he's got these players ahead of him. At some point these guys will need a rest, or they'll get suspended, and he'll get a couple of games here and there. But
that's for me, if that's the case, that's quite frustrating, because to send a player out because away from our own training ground and our system, the way that we're trying to sort of embed this mentality, we've sent into a team where you'd think, well, hopefully he'll get some game time there,
and they're playing a brand of football that should is
suited.
Yeah, it's suited, but it's probably one that we might need to have a look at and think, do we send him somewhere else just to go and play, because you want him to play regularly.
Do the old Football Manager thing where you contact their manager and you say, well, we're going to think about recalling him if you don't give him some game time.
This is why some clubs put in penalty clauses for players that aren't playing. Like, you have to give them a certain amount of minutes. And some teams agree to it, some players, some teams don't. But that's why some Premier League teams do. If they want a player to be exposed to first team football and play X amount of minutes, you can. Whilst I don't think it's always necessarily fair, like, you can understand why they do that, because they want them to develop, and that's part of their putting them out on loan is part of their development. So it'd be interesting to see what Blues do in the next few weeks with regards to his loan, whether they renew it or not. Does that give us a nice segue into transfers? Yeah,
been a couple talked about, hasn't there?
Well, the Phil Newman one won't go away, will it? And I know there was talk of that in the summer, and I think that at that point the deal was just far too expensive. But it sounds like he's out of contract in about 6 months' time for them. So technically, if we wanted to, we could start negotiating for a deal in the summer if he hasn't signed a deal with them. But the way Bild in Germany portrayed it was that there's probably something
to be done in
place and potentially in January, which you would think definitely will spell the end for Sanderson, which I think we've said already is probably best for all parties at this point in time anyway. He needs to go. The fans, a lot of fans have turned on him. It's unfortunate, but yeah. The one thing I like about Newman is he can play right back, and he's fairly, not only is he quite big, he's quite quick as well. You have to wonder if Bielik's place could be up for grabs, because obviously he's a little bit more mobile and a little bit more suited to that right side of the centre back than Bielik is. It'd be interesting to see, but again, gives us a bit more strength and depth and some real physicality as well. But apparently he wants to come based on the article in Bild.
Oh, I mean, you look at the project that people have bought into, and the players that bought into, not just players that we've bought back, but players that are already here. So you Peck, who signed a new contract, Ethan Laird, who signed a new contract. Then look at the players that we bought in. I think that we are a very attractive proposition now. It's, unless something goes very, very wrong, we should be in the Championship next season. We obviously want to keep building towards that. So, I mean, I can the players are going to have to look at us, I think, or they are going to look at us and they're going to say, I want to be part of this. What's going to be going on there? Tom Brady's there. Not all the time, obviously, but that type of thing it gets seen in football, doesn't it? Like football players watch American football. It's like Tom Brady was at the top of that game. It's big in Germany as well, isn't it?
It's massive in Germany, and I think you look at the Phil Newman thing, and in Hanover in Bundesliga, they've been at Bundesliga 2, they've been in Bundesliga 1 before. They're fighting for promotion at the moment. So, I mean, then they're what is he, 26, 27 or something like that. They're a team that, are doing pretty well at the moment, but he's keen to come. I'm sure that we are looking at probably giving him a bit of a pay rise as well, which we have with all of these players, because it does convince a lot of players and agents to come to the club, rightly or wrongly. That is football, and why wouldn't you? But
I'm sure that we've probably missed out on a fair few that we've offered money to, and they haven't taken it as well, because they've seen the league position and they've gone, no, I'm not doing that.
Blue's obviously keen on having the right character, so they do all this character profiling and stuff now as well, so they want the right people in the dressing room, which I think based on their recruitment in the summer would suggest that's what they went out and did. They went out and got the right people. Chris Davis was quite explicit about it. I think it was actually this. There's a. It might have been in the. I can't remember where I saw it. Did he do a talk at the Sleep Out? He did a talk at the Sleep Out, didn't he?
He did. I haven't seen what he said.
Yeah, I think he said a talk about bringing the right players in and moving the wrong players with the wrong characters out, and they did that, and they were happy with what they did. Obviously, Phil's going to be one of those, but he'll be another one. He's obviously playing very well for them. They're near the top of the league. It's not just going to be us that's in for him. It sounds like he wants to come based on what they're saying, but I'm sure there'll be a handful of other clubs that are trying to vie for his signature as well. We'll see what happens there, but I wouldn't be adverse to it. And certainly, if we're going to let Sanderson go, then we're going to need another defender anyway.
Yeah. And the other one was Nathan Redmond, ex-player. Now, was it a loan that's been talked about?
I mean, first of all, let's just remember it was Alan Nixon, but he said Richard Nixon. I nearly always do that.
I don't think it was Richard Nixon.
So no, it definitely wasn't. So just take it with a pinch of salt, of course. I am sure that has been some form of conversation around potentially looking at him as someone that could make
maybe not an in-depth conversation.
No. You have to ask yourself, okay, he's 30, which in football terms isn't old anymore. But he has barely played a game for, I don't know, a year or something. Or
more like 2 years, isn't it?
I think he hasn't started a game for 18 months. It was like May 23, I think it was the last time he started a game. He's barely kicked a ball for Burnley. I think he did fairly well in Turkey before he came over here. And he obviously did fairly well at Southampton. You said that as if he was like a rising star in Turkey, a Turkish rising star. He did quite well in Turkey before he came over here. Yeah. Well, that's right. Yeah. You know what I
before
mean.
He came back, yeah.
Now, from a nostalgia point of view, I kind of get why people will be excited by it. I don't know what sort of player he is anymore, though.
No, on his day that we've seen previously, he's a very good player. Haven't seen that. Haven't seen him for a long time. So
no, and he's obviously. I don't know if he's fit at the moment. He's obviously, if he is, he's obviously not getting a play. He's not getting a look in at Burnley. I don't know what their fans think about him. I don't think he played much for them anyway. Barely into double figures. I don't think. But I mean, how do you guys feel about it? Because I mean, I can sort of see the excitement from a fan's point of view, but for me, if we're going to go out and look for a winger, I mean, he fits the current data-driven recruitment for wide players, isn't he? Out injured for most of the season.
Well, that's the other thing is that we've got our own couple of wingers that are due back in a couple of weeks.
Well, you got Wright and Hansen.
Hansen's close, isn't he?
And obviously, we've got a Yuma who's a developmental project, which is fine. He'll be used sparingly until he's ready to be completely unleashed.
That's a big question for you. That's a big question for you, though.
Injured. Sorry, go on.
So first, on what you've just said there, hasn't been this season.
No, he hasn't, but he has a history of being injured quite a
Yeah.
lot. And, he was obviously being looked after by Tom Brady and his super greens and stuff. So.
But the big one for you here then, Ayuma, or Yokoyama. I don't call him that. I've only called him that because you do. Yokoyama.
Yeah.
Does Redmond come in, take his place on the bench? Would fans be happy with that?
I mean, he's not always had a place on the bench either.
Oh
has
no,
he?
he hasn't. But when he has, take that place off him. I think I'd rather see Yokoyama on the. I mean, I rated Redmond when he played for us. I was gutted when he left to Norwich of all teams. But I think we've got to look forward now. For me personally, a 30-year-old Nathan Redmond isn't the market that we should be in. I think that we should be trying to bring players in players into the squad that are going to develop with us for the next 3, 4, 5 years.
I think I just said a minute ago, 30 isn't old, but it's just his injury. That's not like.
Stop.
Nathan Redmond
Stop.
from 18 months ago, 2 years ago, in League One would be absolutely ridiculous.
Yeah,
he's still a very, very good footballer, and he probably still is a very good footballer. But how reliable is he going to be? I mean, if he gets us out the league, brilliant. A loan, 6-month loan. You're not committing to anything. It's fairly low risk. I get it. How much quality does he add to us at the moment? Can we guarantee he's going to play X amount of games? Is it a nice story, sort of? But I'm just not convinced it's the right move for us at this time. I'm quite happy with what we've got. I would like to see a bit more pace at that end of the pitch, potentially, but I think Hansen and Wright do give us that when they're fit, but obviously we haven't seen either of them for such a long time.
And do you know what? I think that there's potentially other players around anyway that we could go and find to fit that they're more long-term projects. Again, someone that can come up with us next year and the season after, and like a 2 or 3 year player.
Poku wasn't a Peterborough, but he's currently injured now.
Perfect.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if Peterborough might be quite gutted about that. I know that Darren McAnthony has said a number of times that they think they can get quite a lot of money from the Tribunal, but I reckon they could have got more from him in January if they wanted to sell him. So there might be a team that does pull the trigger on him just to get him, and Peterborough might be happy to sell. But
it does happen, doesn't it?
It does. But I mean, for me, I'd keep powder dry on that front until the summer. I think we did so much work in the summer just gone that we left ourselves very little to do in January. If we need to go out and do something, we probably will go out and do something, but I don't think anything's a necessity other than replacing Sanderson. You might say goalkeeper, but I mean,
well, we've been told a few things about goalkeepers, haven't we? And
I think they're probably always looking to go for another goalkeeper in the Championship next season.
Yeah,
I don't know if we've been
told
now.
We've been told different things. We've been told January, and we've been told the end of the season. So
I think
do
they'll wait
think
till summer and go and do something, make a splash for a keeper. Because I tell you, I've been quite impressed with Allsop. He's looked far better than
expected.
When I'd seen him play for Hull and for Derby, and some of the mistakes he made for them, he's not made any of those for us.
Well, that was it.
There's been a few
Stockport, the
moments.
double save. I think we forgot to even mention that while we were on the podcast last time around. I'm not sure if we did or not.
No, I think we did, because I think I mentioned that Louis Barry had one of the shots, so I think I did mention it. But obviously, Peacock Fowler has turned out how we pretty much expected Peacock Fowler to turn out. It's quite disappointing. So Allsop's been really, 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 really good. And from a boyhood club level, I mean, he's got I think maybe he just tries harder. I don't know, but
and then obviously the going before we come away from goalkeepers. Actually, bear in mind squad numbers, as in not their shirt numbers, but the number of players that you can have in there. We one or two at the moment.
Well, there was the grey area of Tyler Roberts appearing on our squad list, but he doesn't appear on Northampton's squad list. So if that's been ironed out, then I'm assuming two.
So doesn't include goalkeepers. So if we wanted to go and get a new goalkeeper and move neither of them out, we can have a third goalkeeper. I would assume that if we did get a goalkeeper in January, that probably Peacock Farrell would get a loan somewhere.
That'd be, I think my assumption would be that he goes elsewhere and then we bring somebody in. Maybe that's what they would do. But I think for me, just wait till the summer now.
But then so outfield players, 2 spaces, assuming that Tyler Roberts is not in that squad list. 2 spaces that you're saying one's a defender and one other, unless you move anyone on. So it's then starting to shuffle that squad around. Yeah,
I mean, and I'm sure we can have a talk about this in a couple of weeks' time and have a think about it. But any player that I don't think there's many players that are going to be itching for a move, really. So I think it'll be a fairly settled squad, and I'm quite happy with that going into the second half of the season.
Okay, both. We're heading into quite a busy festive schedule for us and everyone else, in fact. You want to have a look at the next couple of games?
Yeah, so first up, Crawley on Monday night.
Yeah, that's confusing. It's TV game, I assume, is it? I'm
not sure what it got moved for, I can't remember.
First of all, 3 in a week, yeah.
It could have been a horrible one for them to move right round by Gatwick Airport, right round the M25, isn't it?
It's the only game in England being played on Monday, so I'm going to make the assumption we're on TV.
Alright, there we go.
It's an 8 o'clock kickoff, so yeah, I think that is correct.
We haven't got a Crawley Town fan to give us an insight. We haven't got Ben from Blues Breakdown to give us an insight, so we've got my trusty WhoScored.com summary, who say that Crawley's strengths are creating chances using through balls. They're very strong at that, so we've got to be switched on to through balls. But that's their only strength, according to WhoScored.com. So otherwise, they're just terrible. Their weaknesses: finishing, scoring chances. So if they do create a chance through a through ball, then they might miss it anyway. Their other weaknesses are defending against long shots, which would be handy if we've got a Water popping up around there, or Stansfield on recent showing. Defending set pieces and avoiding avoiding individual errors. Then they're very weak at aerial duels, defending counter-attacks and stopping opponents from creating chances. I don't want to get carried away, but this is all stacking up very favourably for us. But they're very hit and miss, aren't they? They've won a couple in their last handful of games. They've drawn one, lost a couple.
Yeah, I mean they're down in the bottom 3 or 4, aren't they? I think
bottom 4.
So just
fourth from bottom.
Under Bristol Rovers, but above Shrewsbury. And yeah, did
Shrewsbury beat them?
Is
that who Shrewsbury beat the other week?
5-3, that was, yeah. So Rob Elliott's the manager now, isn't he? The former goalkeeper that was at Charlton and Newcastle.
Not Newcastle midfielder.
Not that one. No, I'm sure he played for. I saw both Rob Elliott's play for Newcastle. The goalkeeper, I'm sure he did. I might be wrong. So, watching them when they were in League Two in the playoffs, they were
You're
they
correct.
played quite.
He did play for Newcastle. Sorry.
He did play for Newcastle. They were quite attacking. They tried to keep the ball pretty well, moved the ball forward pretty quickly, kept hold of the ball. I'm assuming that they've carried on that mantra under Rob Elliott. So it'll be interesting to see if they stick to that or whether they go down the route of 5 at the back, go long, because they were quite a press. They would press high up the pitch as well. So it'll be interesting to see if they do that or if they try we'll call it the blueprint of teams that that style of play that Shrewsbury, Mansfield, Charlton, Barnsley all tried to play against us.
Who Scored does also say their style of play involves short passes, long shots, through balls often, as it said before, possession football and attacking down the right.
Sounds familiar.
But
where have I seen that before every weekend?
But yeah, it wouldn't surprise me if we do face a team that sets up to try and snatch and grab. But I'm becoming a little bit more confident now that we can that blueprint that teams have, that we can deal with that now, because I think as we said earlier, we're maturing and we're learning that we can actually adapt and play a different way. And if a game calls for it, we can rough it. If we need to, we can go a bit more direct. So that it doesn't worry me at the moment that teams might set up to do that.
No,
I
don't know whether these guys will, and clearly they're down the bottom for a reason, but so were Shrewsbury and Northampton.
They've had a lot of close games as well. Scored a few goals.
They seem to score, but they can also obviously let a few in. I don't know enough about this team now, but it's a game that you look at and you would expect us to go there and win. So I expect us to go there and win, basically. I mean, let's have a quick chat about what we do with line-up-wise. This can't be too different from the weekend, you'd think, would you?
Well, no, I think we'll have had a good break as well now. So that fear of, obviously we've got a busy schedule coming up, but we've got a nice break before then. I think we're probably pretty much, maybe, I don't know if there's anything that changed from Saturday. I think that performance in the first half was deserving of people keeping in places.
Exactly the same team out. I don't think there's any reason to change anything. The dynamic with certainly May and Stansfield now, the way they're switched around seems to be the right way of playing them, and it's not. We've seen Jay score a few goals since he's been out on the right as well. So, and those three behind the striker, and even May himself, it's pretty fluid. They kind of rotate quite frequently in terms of just moving around the pitch, and obviously they come deep, and they're always looking for spaces and pockets in between and behind the defence. So it seems to be working, and that seems to be the best setup for us at the moment. I don't think I'd change anything at this point in time.
No, I think Anderson deserves another mention there as well, because I think he's been outstanding. 10 goal involvements is it now this season? So yeah,
I think he's been the best. You think he's been the player you've been most surprised by his performance this season? So
not surprised, because I think
I've always been quite an advocate of Kesh Anderson, even when he wasn't given.
I don't mean surprised. I mean just happy with how it's come together for him.
I'd rather be happy with a player than not. So, I
just wasn't expecting it.
Do you know what? I think
go on.
I think it probably is quite surprising to see his performances, but more so because we're getting a Keshi Anderson for 85, 90 minutes, if not 90 minutes of really strong performances. Whereas last season we were getting a good Keshy Anderson for 40 minutes, and then he just looked a bit knackered. Whereas this season he's completely different.
The surprising
animal.
thing for me is the fact that, see, I've always quite liked him. I've always saw there was a quality there, and I thought he was probably better than he was showing when he was clearly not as fit as he is now. Last season, that he was on the verge of leaving. He was technically minutes away from leaving, and decided he wanted to stay last season. So when Chris Davies comes in, you kind of expect just to move Keshi out and bring someone else in. It just felt like that was going to happen because we attempted to move him last season. The fact that he's took his chance, but he's obviously impressed Chris Davies, and Davies is like really complimentary of him all the time. And he will say like he does all sides of the game really well. Like he's a danger at one end. He'll press, he'll harry, he'll create chances.
I think that's where he's more dangerous.
But
by the way,
comes back.
His pressing. His pressing is so good.
Pressy Anderson. That's trademark it, please, and give me some money. But Pressy Anderson, yeah. How many chances have we scored or created from his press? Not even this season. I remember, I think it's last season as well, and maybe even the season went under Eustace. I think he was creating chances or causing issues at the other end of the pitch by the press. It's fantastic. Yep. There's been so many chances created just from his energy, and it's intelligent pressing as well. Like he's cutting down angles and passing lanes, and they obviously closing down players as well. So it's not just pressing for pressing's sake. It's actually quite intelligent.
Yep.
But it's like there's some games I just think like he's obviously going to be a candidate to get drug tested, because from the player that we saw like a season or so ago when he couldn't last much more than 65 minutes and was getting cramp, to the player he is now, completely
different,
where he will play like
just for the avoidance of defaming Anderson here. You're not implying.
No, obviously not. No, it's Tom Brady's super
that's
greens,
all complete. I was going to say it's all natural greens, isn't it?
It's all above board. There was never any issues with those greens at all. But no,
it's just kale.
just kale, spirulina. He has been for me just like you say, not the biggest surprise, but just I think he's been fantastic this season. I don't know. I'll go as far to say player of the season because I think you could point to maybe Clara potentially. There's probably a few options.
There's a few. Yeah.
Anderson definitely. It wouldn't surprise me if Anderson ends up winning player of the season potentially.
Yeah,
Him
I
or
can see that.
Cochrane, I think that could possibly be. But yeah, I mean, definitely worth a shout out. 10, 11 goal contributions this season, and he's just a nuisance at in the opposition's half, and he works super hard, and he's got that class and technical ability to go with it, which I think not a lot of people kind of associated with him. But obviously, playing alongside better players brings out that side a little bit more.
Also, as you say about better players, the better team that you're in means that your contribution can be bigger, can be better. Like that side of things means that, like, if you've got a team where they're not pressing in that same way, and they're not pressing as a team unit, then you can press all you like. It doesn't offer anything. You press as a team unit, and suddenly your good pressing style pays off, creates opportunities, creates goals.
What is it? Who said it the other day? It might have been Chris Davies, or maybe it was a different. Maybe it was 11 players, one brain, or something like that. Yeah,
it's a good phrase.
I think it was. I don't know if it might have been an NFL podcast I was listening to. I'm not sure.
Do you know what's also a good phrase?
Like a light bulb.
Hey,
I've had that queued up the whole way through.
Had to get it in somewhere.
It's Christmas. Should we get some predictions?
Yes.
Where are we with this predictions table, Chris?
I've got to catch up, mate. I've had so much going on.
We've all been busy.
Busy with work. I've been ill.
I think I was.
Yeah, we've all been busy, Dave. But were you in A&E for 8 hours?
What have you been doing while you're waiting?
Yes.
No, I was asking
Longer,
Dave, not you. I know. Dave was moaning. That's all.
The easiest thing to do here would be to predict 2-0, wouldn't it? I guess, but.
Hang on.
Yeah.
Are you coming in with a new rule here?
You can't use 2-0.
I could just see you.
Can't use Stansfield, can't use May, 2 weeks in a row, and you can't use 2-0 2 weeks in a row.
You can change your player, your goal scorer, before kick-off if they're not in the 11.
No. We forgot about this. Did you discuss this on the last podcast?
No.
That again, bullshit tactics by you, just throwing this league prediction thing into further with a farce.
He's got to catch up because I have no idea where we are with this stuff. I know that I think I got the Barnsley result correct. I don't think I got the
result,
score
not
correct.
the score. Yeah,
I got the score. I'm sure I got the score. I'm sure
Did
I said 2-1. Yeah,
I'll check.
Yeah, check it.
I'll get round to it.
I've said this
eventually.
before and I was completely wrong. But
It's all on a Google sheet somewhere.
Sure.
It's all on a Google sheet. It's fine.
So I'm gonna go. It's quite boring to say 2-0.
Banned from saying 2-0 now.
And I don't know. Come back to me for score. You guys give me your predictions.
Okay, go on, Dave.
We're doing both now, or do you want to go do one first and then get one?
Crawley. Yeah.
3-0. 3-0 and Anderson getting one of them.
Pressy Anderson giving us.
Pressy Anderson
to give him his.
as a result of a press as well.
T-shirt. Pressy Anderson.
I mean, that could be taken the wrong way, couldn't it? it's meant lovingly, in case you're honest. I'm going to go 4-0. Obviously, I'm not sure that I can see it coming now because. So one of the things for me in the last few games that we've been leading, people say about us like not getting out of second gear. I don't think we even get into second gear at sometimes. Like Bristol Rovers, I think that we're that second half. It was first gear performance, and it's all it needed. You
just want to come out the blocks quickly and score early. Opens up the opposition a little bit, and then hopefully get a second goal, and then you can sort of kill it. I'm going 2-0. I'm going to go Alfie May because
did you not go Alfie May last time? Did you go Stansfield?
I can't. I don't even. Did we even do it for Bristol Rovers?
No, we didn't.
I think it's time for Alfie to score now. Stansfield had a couple. It's time to be back to Alfie.
I'm going to go 4-0, and I'm going to go Willemsen.
Of course you're going to go Willemsen, because that's what you've done for the past 6 weeks. At least that's what it felt like.
Oh, you can't do that.
How's it panning out for you?
Sorry, there's me just moving the goalpost.
Well, that's why his header didn't go in, wasn't it? Because you moved the goalpost. That's
because you keep moving the goalpost, Chris. Yeah.
Talking of May, did you think he was going to take the penalty? He walked up...
No, so that was strategic, wasn't it, to take the pressure off of Stansfield. So he takes the ball, looks like he's going to be the penalty taker, so the opposition can give him shit, puts the ball down, Stansfield goes up and takes it.
Sticks it straight down the middle.
You're seeing it more
really
and more
hard
now, aren't you? I think because Aspilicueta did it for Chelsea a couple of seasons ago, and now there seems to be quite a few teams that have been doing that just to take the... You know
what we should do, just as pure piss take, next time that we get a penalty, Allsop goes up and picks the ball up. He's like, the keeper's going to take the penalty.
I think he'd be a good penalty taker, to be fair.
Probably.
Yeah.
One of the best penalties that I've ever seen down the Blues was taken by Kevin Poole.
Kevin Poole, yes.
Kevin Poole, just absolute walloped.
I remember that.
Not stopping that. Was that Was that Watford game? Wasn't Watford, was it? Penalty shootout.
I think it might have been. I remember Kevin Pressman doing it for Sheffield Wednesday, and absolutely outrageous.
Walloping it. You're not stopping them. Should we? I mean, is there much to say about Burton? It's some way away.
We'll just. I'm going to miss the Burton game because it'll be on the red button technically, so I'm going to maybe have it on my phone, have Sky Sports football app on my phone, but I'm actually at Coleraine Ballymena Boxing Day derby on Boxing Day, obviously. So with my brother-in-law, so normally quite good atmosphere. They always do derbies on Boxing Day in the Irish League, so that'll be good. But I'll be keeping a keen eye on Blues as well.
Ramel Donovan derby
Ramel Donovan derby.
Yeah, two teams that don't want to play him. Right. Well, I think we're done, aren't we?
I think we're done.
So we're not predicting the Burton game?
We'll maybe predict it close to the...
We'll
do
but not on
it
the pod.
offline, online, on WhatsApp, and then put it out afterwards.
That's right. So, I think all that's left to be said is have a lovely Christmas.
Wishing you a very Merry Christmas.
Ho, ho, ho.
Yeah, that one lined up all year.
Yeah, we'll probably... It would be New Year now. Be in the New Year. Before we pod again.
Yeah, we'll see.
We'll see where it is, but yeah, it'll be after Christmas.
If we, or Christmas Day. We'll do a special on Christmas Day. I'm sure that'll go down well.
Live,
Yeah.
live from around the Christmas table.
So I'm just back from my 12-mile run that I always do every Christmas Day. I'm now going to do a podcast. Is that all right? Don't worry. I'll heat my dinner up afterwards. It's fine.
I think that'll go down fine, mate.
I'll go and ask her now. See what she says.
Yeah, we'll be back after Christmas. And until next time, thank you for listening. Happy New Year. Many happy returns. Happy Christmas. Merry Christmas. Season's greetings.
Happy holidays.
Happy holidays. And keep right on.
Keep right on.
Keep on.
I nearly went American then.
I did.
Keep right on.
Keep right on.